This tale begins in Devonshire, in the rural countryside of England, at a place called Dartmoor, with a stretch of road called the B3212. This particular location has become infamous due to the high number of vehicle crashes and near misses, with many claiming their vehicle was possessed by an unknown force. These occurrences have become so widespread that it's now become well known as one of the most haunted roads in the country. The B3212 begins at Exeter and finishes at Yelverton, near Plymouth. This stretch of road spans 33 miles, yet only one section of road is thought to be paranormal. Most notably is the connecting road from Postbridge to Two Bridges, with reports of sightings dating back to the early 1900s. The first incident happened in 1921, when a Dr. E.H. Helby, a medical officer of Dartmoor prison, was riding his motorcycle with his two young daughters in tow. Riding along this section of road, Dr. Helby appeared to be having difficulty steering his motorcycle and yelled for his daughters to quickly jump out. They managed to do so and suffered minor wounds in their escape. Their father, sadly, met his fate with a fractured skull upon impact. The coroner confirmed his death as accidental, caused by the snapping of the wheel spokes and axle. In the police report, the daughters noted their father appeared to be wrestling the handlebars against an unseen force. Surprisingly, in August that same year, the police gathered a report of another motorcycle incident at the same spot. This time, the rider survived. The second incident involved an army officer. He reported that a pair of hairy and muscular hands seized control of the handlebars and were determined to ride him off the edge of the road until he came off of his bike and ended up on the turf. Because of the motorcycle accidents that happened back in 1921, a local author, Beatrice Chase, wrote to the Western Morning News with a letter suggesting these things may be due to magnetic rocks, of which there are many on Dartmoor. This extraordinary season may have increased or altered the magnetic currents. It would appear to have some connection with metal, and the steering wheel or handlebars would act as conductors. An electric shock might account for the strange sensation described by the young officer. In the interest of the public, it would be nice if someone with the requisite instruments could test that road from the top of Merrypit Hill to Archerton. This got some interest from the local authorities, who indeed sent an engineering team out to investigate the area and repair parts of the road. However, no tests on magnetic currents were carried out. What exactly was causing these mysterious crashes and close misses? Was it something physical? Or perhaps was it an unknown paranormal entity? Police and researchers looked back at potential clues to these bizarre happenings. According to documents found by investigators from the time, there was a local gunpowder factory situated in the area. One story has it that in the 1800s there was a gunpowder worker with large, hairy hands. The workers were told to not wear hobnail boots as they could strike a spark on the granite floor and ignite the gunpowder. The hairy-handed worker had news of a windfall inheritance from a rich relative in Italy, leaving him the sole beneficiary. Celebrating that he wouldn't have to work again, he went to get his tools from the factory as he wanted them as a keepsake. Forgetting he was wearing his hobnailed boots, it did indeed strike a spark, which blew the workshop and the man to smithereens. All except for his large and hairy hands. A few years later, a young couple were camping in their caravan parked in the ruins of Powder Mills. Awoken with a strange feeling of absolute dread, the young wife's attention was drawn to the caravan window, where she saw a disembodied and hairy hand. Not only shocked at the sight of this ghastly appendage, it gave an aura of malevolence and harm towards her and her husband. Instinctively making the sign of the cross, the hand seemed to flinch and recoil at this most familiar deterrent of evil forces, and it made itself away. The Devonshire moors can be a disorienting place to find oneself being lost, and so the locals suggest that outsiders trying to drive too fast down narrow, high-walled roads will underestimate how tricky and deceiving the road can be. The history of the hairy hands is rather spine-tingling, with many believing they have had an encounter even to this day, yet some still don't believe in such stories. The most sceptical people regarding the hairy hands are the locals, who dismiss the now famous local legend down to the poor driving of grockles, which is Devonshire and Cornish slang for holidaymakers. So, what are we to make of the hairy hands of Dartmoor? Are they the manifestation of some sort of malicious spirit, or is there indeed a high concentration of magnetic current affecting people's vehicles? Or is it a simple case of inexperienced drivers losing control of their vehicles and meeting their demise as a consequence, perhaps even drunk or inebriated drivers high from potent Devonshire scrumpy? Either way, should you be driving along the B3212 in the dark of night or on a thick and foggy day, keep your eyes peeled, your wits sharp, and drive carefully. Because if you don't, you could very well be the next victim of the hairy hands of Dartmoor.